Hello, guys. Welcome back to Voices We Long For. Today we have two very special guests with us, but we have Benjamin back with us.
I'm back.
And it seems like he also is wearing that T-shirt again, which is awesome.
Not today,
I love
Satan.
I love
Not
this
today,
T-shirt so
Satan.
much. He walked in the studio. It was just like, yo, look at this shirt that my kids picked out for me. I was like, this is awesome.
Yep.
This is amazing.
They said, "Hey, Dad, I have your shirt." I'm like, "What shirt?" They're like, "Not today, Satan." Okay.
Great shirt. And then we have here a new guest, Joseph.
It's good to meet you guys.
The most awkward little wave. Our topic today is going to be more focused on the parental side and also the children's, or like us as students, as kids, from parents. Well, you also are a child of a parent, a child from a parent. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
I do have a mother and father, and I do have kids. So I'm a parent of children and a child of parents.
Yes.
So
yes.
all of the above.
Yeah, all of the above. You know, A, B, C, D, D.
This is kind of going to be more of a sharing and just honestly understanding of the both perspective of how the parent wants to, or how should maybe some ways that a parent could walk with their children or the child as they are developing their faith and as they're walking through their faith. And also from our perspective, how does that look like for our parents, from our parents, and how does it look like for us to grow in that environment as well? I guess the question for the parent would be, what does it look like for you to kind of walk with your children's as they are going through their faith journey, as they're developing their personal relationship with Christ? How do you make sure that it's not just something that's, passed down from a parent, but it's genuinely like their desire to have this relationship with Christ, but you allow them to, but you're walking with them to nurture that faith?
So, I mean, of course, faith is something that's important to my family. As I mentioned in one of the previous episodes, I do have 5 kids. So
awesome.
They are 15, 14, 11, 7, and 3. And all of their birthdays, except for one, is in May. So we all change birthdays, along with my wife and me. So we have 6 birthdays in May and 1 in July. So, it's crazy. But faith is not something that is forced. Some religions out there are more of a pressure faith. But as parents, we want them to have that choice, because when faith comes from true believing and from your heart, it's a genuine faith. It's not a faith. It's not a religion, because sometimes faith can become a religion, and you lose that relationship in there. So as a father, we look at how, or as I'm looking at my kids, how do I shape them into wanting to have a relationship with God? And I think one of the most important things, as I mentioned before, my parents weren't active Christians, CEOs, I said before, Christmas, Easter only Christians. For those who didn't catch that last one. But, I didn't have the best relationship with my dad growing up. He wasn't a bad guy. He just wasn't kind sometimes with his words or his actions. And I never saw him, reading his Bible actively. And so you see them going to church, and then they live a different life. So you have that contradiction in your life there. And so a relationship that we have with our earthly father really affects the way that we look at our relationship with our heavenly father, with God.
Right.
Yes, we use the word father interchangeable there. So we have our earthly father and our heavenly father. And so as I look at that, I want to model that relationship that I want them to have with God, with me. So it helps them to develop that relationship, because, a faith, a religion, Christianity, is about a relationship.
That's right.
Knowing who God is, having a relationship with him, and knowing Jesus Christ. And so I don't force them into anything. but I give them that freedom, but I'm modeling it.
Right.
So, trying to spend my time in the Word, looking and guarding them from worldly things that will help them grow in their faith. Because the world is full of things that are out there after them.
That's right.
Like, how does that kind of work for you? Because, like, I mean, there's obviously going to be factors that are going to be out of your control in a lot of spaces.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you kind of, how do you ensure that, like, in the spaces that you have,
Yeah.
I guess, like, parental guidance, parental protection, that, number one, it doesn't, like, for the kid, it doesn't seem like it's like, oh, you're being like overprotective, or
Yeah.
you're not letting me have fun, you're not letting me enjoy these things. And then number two is like I mean, there's the inevitable side of, like, they might stumble on something on social media,
For
on
sure.
whatever they have, whether it's games, like videos and stuff like that. Like, how do you make sure that even if they do that, they can still come to you in a space where they can be vulnerable?
Yeah, I think, like, one of the ways that as my wife and I looked at how can we shepherd them, how can we guard them, the world might look at us like we're a little bit crazy, but we actually homeschool our kids. I say we, it's not me. It's my wife.
Wow.
She's the rock star.
Wow.
That's been teaching them for the past 7 years.
Wow.
So as we've lived overseas, they've been homeschooled. And we chose that because we can guard them a little bit. We don't want to be the typical homeschooler weird kid, can't socialize or all that. But it guards them from the worldliness of a school, that's pushing that non-godly motive that they have behind a lot of things. And it's amazing to see as our kids are growing in their faith, and we talk about homeschooling with them, and then they see these things that are going on in the world, or they're interacting with some of the kids at youth group, that are 3, 4, 5 years younger than them, and they're talking about sex, they're talking about pornography, and my kids are like, why are you talking about that? And they're like, oh, well, we talk about it at school. Or, just last Sunday, I was teaching a youth group, and there was a, 8 or 9th grade, I can't remember. And he's literally drawing, like, people having sex in the back of a van.
Whoa.
And he's 11.
Wow.
And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? And he's like, well, we talk about it at school. And I'm like, so like those worldly things that we're able to guard them from. And it gives us an opportunity while we're homeschooling to dive into God's word. Most schools out there aren't going to allow you to be biblically, unless it's a private school. And even then you never know what it's going to be like. But we're able to teach them from, biblical character, biblical discipleship, discipline, like self-discipline, not me disciplining them. But we have that opportunity by guarding them in that.
So as a parent, just a question, like, how important do you think it is to actually safeguard? Because I can imagine for a parent, most parents, they don't have the opportunity maybe to homeschool, right? So they send their kids out into these institutions that are so worldly in the sense of like how they view things, or maybe the lens or perspective they apply, right? Everything rubs off on the children at the end of the day, right? So as like a Christian parent, someone that has made a devout promise to lead their kids to Christ, right? Like tangibly for somebody at home who wants to apply some of those steps, like what might you relay to them?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that children are a product of their environment. They're sponges. They're taking everything. It doesn't matter if it's a 1-year-old or a 16-year-old. They're still taking in an example of us. And they're building that idea of what a father is like, what a mother's like, by looking at us. And so, as we look at the world that's all around our kids, how can we safeguard them? I mean, something that we do that's a little controversial, I think, to some people is we're not celebrating some of the holidays that the world celebrates. Easter, we celebrate Jesus, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's what we celebrate. That's what it's about. It's not bunny rabbits and eggs.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
the goddess of fertility that we're worshiping. That's not what we're doing. We focus
Right.
on Jesus during that time. And Halloween, when it comes around, that's not a holiday that we believe Christians should be celebrating. I have friends that come from a witchcraft background that really dove in and told us a lot of the things that are going on during those holidays. And so as a parent, I think as a Christian parent, that's a simple step. In our house, in our house, that's our culture. I'm obviously not Chinese or Asian descent,
Right.
at all. So just make sure everybody knows that. But there's different cultures. Every single house also has their own culture. So as a family, we develop that. As parents, you decide what kind of culture you want those kids to grow up in. They might leave your house and go out, but when they come home, that's their safeguard. That's their safe place, and that's their culture. And so as husband and wife, we decided Easter and Halloween we're not going to celebrate. Just the worldly side of Easter and Halloween.
Right.
And so taking that step, it's really hard for kids to like, Dad, why am I not, why do I not get to go trick or treating?
Right.
All of my friends are dressing up. Why can't I do that? And, we can dive into this maybe on another episode, what that really carries.
Yeah.
But it's important as parents to look at the biblical example that we want to lead. And the first thing is pray about it. Cover your family in prayer. I pray for my kids every day. I'm praying protection over our household every night when we lay down. It's important. Like that's the first step. The enemy wants nothing more than to just divide a family,
Right. Yeah.
and to take those kids and just pull them away from the parents. So, setting up those boundaries, those safeguard fences, setting up that culture that you're gonna stand for is super important. And really, I can tell you what I do and what my wife and I do, but really ultimately it comes down to what you want to do. You have to pray about it. Husband, wife, you got to be in agreement. Even for those who, maybe dad's a believer and mom's not, I think it's important, or vice versa. You got to have those conversations. Because it's easy for one to win over the other. And, we pray that the Christian faith overwins the other one, but it's not always like that.
Yeah.
I know it's hard sometimes.
And then also there's obviously not a one size fits all to every situation, right? Like there's so many external factors to literally anything you do. And when we think about like a familial household, why should that be any different? Right? In the sense that like somebody that works for, let's say, John out west won't work for, let's say, my family one day here.
Yep.
Right? So then taking that, like there are things that again can work for certain people in terms of reinforcing some of the boundaries again, or some of the familiarities of Christianity, the fundamentals. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of situations that can be out of our control. There's a lot of situations that oftentimes push even what we know.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah.
Yeah. We're challenged every day as parents. Most of the time kids are either carrying a phone, on a game laptop, or
That's
not
right.
laptop, a PC or a device or something that is just throwing stuff at them.
Yeah.
And so it's important to not lose that disconnect. You can be underneath the same house, you can be in the same room and still not be connected with that child. So it's also important to know your child, to ask those questions. How was your day? What's been going on? What are you struggling with? And then being open to listen to them. That's an important part, because we have to listen to them, but we also need to be an example. We need to be vulnerable to them. When I do something wrong towards them and it upsets them, like if I realize that it's wrong, then I need to go say, hey, I'm sorry. I messed up right there. I lost my temper. I said something I shouldn't have.
Hmm.
And that is probably one of the harder biblical characters to do as a parent,
Right.
because we want to enforce we have authority over our children. So we're wanting to force that upon them.
Yeah.
But, just because we're older doesn't mean we're perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny. You should, this is the kid, this is the parent. I'm just like, man, that makes me feel old. Because I look at you and I'm like, man, I look the same. No, my kids inform me all the time I got some gray hair.
Oh,
So do we. We're developing it slowly.
I don't
especially
see a
around
drop
final
of-
season. Final season, it starts patching up at the back. It's not in the camera. Right
Yeah.
now, but-
Okay. I'll take your word on it.
yeah.
This is gonna kind of wrap around between
Yeah.
everything that we've all discussed about, but it's something that, for context, it's like yesterday we had like this sharing that Benjamin was also there for, and it was also on the topic of like parents and the family, and so like something that you said there was, it was between like, yes, the like for us as children, sometimes we don't understand the perspective of the parents, but then also for the parents, sometimes we struggle with understanding from the children's perspective as well.
Yeah.
Something at least from the perspective of really growing up with I'll be honest here, it's like growing up with family and having arguments about the smallest things and also the biggest things. I mean, like, everything can spark an argument, depending on like the way that we even approach our tone.
Yeah.
I mean, like, truthfully, like, this is behind the camera, behind the scenes stuff. I'm like being like honest here, but like even that moment when I went up to literally tell my
I
parents,
just got
like,
on to you.
hey, wait, like I said, wait, right? Like even that is like a notion that I don't see myself being like, it doesn't seem like it was aggressive, but it can become something that sparks aggression.
Yeah.
That
might have been the parent in me that was coming out, because I could hear the tone. I was like, bro, hold on. Don't talk to your mom like that.
Yeah,
I like your mom.
Don't worry, you're not the first one. Even Josh has called me out
Okay.
before.
Okay.
Like it was also in one of these scenes. So like,
But that's okay. You have to grow in that. Like,
Yeah.
Like our tone that we talk to our kids matters just as much as the tone that kids are talking to us.
Mm-hmm.
Like tone sets everything.
yeah.
Especially in the Chinese language, tone's important too.
It's so hard, especially growing up with like these arguments that spark out of nowhere. Like you don't even realize like, how does this even happen? Where did this argument even come from? You know?
Yeah.
And I like at least personally for me, something that I've learned biblically, is like, number one, for everyone, Proverbs talks about how the wise are tame with like they're slow with their tongue, that they're not fast with their tongue, but they're quick to think, they're quick to listen.
Yeah.
Right. And in that space, it's like, it's also the wisdom of knowing that like, even though someone is trying to correct you, that doesn't mean that they're doing this out of hate or aggression, but they're doing this out of a place of love.
Yeah.
So for us, it even takes a second for us to realize that how, even if we know what they're teaching, like, let's say like as a parent, you're like, hey, Benison, can you clean this up? Or can you do this? I haven't seen you do it. Like, we're so quick to fight back with like why do you keep on reminding me? Why do you keep on telling me this?
I'll do it. Just wait. I'll do it.
Like even that reaction is like so much more.
Yeah.
But just like, at least from how I've read Proverbs, it's like the idea of just even saying like, okay, I got it. Well, like thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
You're right. Like my bad. Or even like, you're right.
Yeah.
Let me do that real quick.
And right close to that same part is where it's talking about pride.
Yeah.
You know, pride creeping in there.
Yeah.
And pride coming before the fall. Like that's something we talk about with our kids all the time, is like, don't become prideful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as we've lived overseas, as we lived in China, and then as we lived in Thailand, obviously I had to learn the languages while I was there. And, you know, we've kind of set this tone of always being a learner, not a knower.
Wow.
In language. But then my wife and I were talking about it. Like, that's even with our kids in our life. We need to be lifelong learners.
Yeah.
We're always learning, and especially as they become teenagers and all that is a new journey. Like I said, you know, I have 15 all the way down to 3.
Yeah.
So I have the whole gamut.
mid-spectrum.
Oh my gosh,
The
I have
mid-spectrum.
the like past puberty, starting puberty,
That's like all
still
the
peeing on the
stages
floor.
right there.
Like again, we got the whole thing there. You never know what's going to hit us in the day, but we're always talking with our kids about not becoming prideful,
Yeah.
not being someone who knows everything,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't want them to fall. We don't want them to stumble. And that's the one thing that we got to be careful with. That's another safeguard that we put out there is we're not wanting them to become prideful.
Yeah.
And myself and my wife, we work on that too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah,
pride
there's
is
like so much stuff we can continue to talk about. Like I mean, for
know.
hours and hours, and I'm sure we'll have more podcasts about this, and we'll dive into some of the
absolutely
other
yeah.
things. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see how God's going to use this, and I'm hoping that my wisdom is good wisdom, and it's from God, and it'll help you understand and help our listeners understand as well.
Well,
Closing
just
statement.
Closing
Yeah.
statements.
I mean, just to kind of wrap it up, the reason why this topic is so important is just because we've all had parents, right? In anyone's development, like parents play such a crucial role in, let's say, education, academics, in literally how somebody develops mentally, right? So then when we think about the importance of faith in all of our lives and really relaying that to our kids, it's important to understand the approach you take, the importance of like little things that you talk about, the fundamentals that get built for them to go and then make an informed decision for their own relationship, right? So again, like that applies differently to everyone, but you've definitely relayed like a bunch of really important steps that people
Absolutely.
can take
Wow.
even back
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah, well, I hope, just laying that biblical foundation. You're talking about steps.
Mhm.
You got to start that foundation. You got to start while they're young. If
Mm-hmm.
you, if you didn't have the opportunity to start when you were young or when your kids were young, start today. Be the change today.
Mm-hmm.
Start being that biblical foundation for them.
Yeah.
So
And I also want to preface this as well, like with like we're talking about family and stuff like this as well, and the influence of parents being in our lives, but even those who have suffered losses with parents and stuff like that, like there are those who are in your life that I really am praying that they care for you and that they're there to support you and grow with you and walk with you in any stages of your life. And I want to preface that like even you guys are loved and cared for, like just as much as
Amen.
with your parents, with your children, with your siblings, your family members, like whoever you are, like we're all struggling, and it's such a blessing that we have God that allows us to that shields us and protects us. And so I wanted to just reach like this is an extension to like just everyone, like parents, guardians, those who have influenced us, supported us, and
Absolutely.
it's a blessing.
If you catch the podcast earlier, I talked about my grandparents and how much influence they had on me.
Absolutely. But yeah, well, thank you guys so much for this time. It's been so fruitful. It's been so amazing to do this. It's such a great opportunity to talk with you guys, and I hope to see you guys some
we'll
more.
Back.
And
we'll see what kind of shirt I can find next time.
yes, I've been looking to Christian
Your kids
apparel,
can
but
find. Your kids can
my
find.
kids will pick it out.
Yeah.
this is exciting. But yes, thank you guys so much for listening, for watching, and yeah, this was Voices We Long For. Take care, guys. Bye bye. God bless you.